So that is it. Have a cut, and we have a cut after class. I've also shared what we call our WhatsApp link there. For those who are not in the group, WhatsApp link is there. I'm also sharing it again. You can be joining the class and be joining the WhatsApp group as we continue. Now, having said that, I think we should start our class today. Should start our class. Give me a second. Those who are fond of calling me when I'm in class, kindly, you are disturbing others. Umeshikwa na mashida huko, you start now spreading your problems to others. Making classes not to go on. You know that the class time has reached. Stop calling the lecturer. Seek for help from any other place, from another place, not from lecturer who is in charge darasa. Puta usaidizi kutoka mahali pengine. Sababu sasa ukianza kupigia lecturer simu na ako kwa darasa, that means wale ambao wanangojea klasi iendelee watakuwa, they will be suffering. When you are seeking for help, and this one with all due respect, seek for help before the classes start. And again, you have a whole week to seek for assistance. 7 days to seek for assistance. And then you are waiting until that time or joining the class. That's the time you start disturbing the lecturers, the students, your fellow students, everybody, you are disturbing them. That is not good. That one is not ethical. So wale ambao wanakuanga na hiyo tabia, na kipindi kilikuwa kinaitwa je, huu ni ungwana? Nakuuliza, je, huo ni ungwana? Kusumbua watu wakiwa darasani, including mwalimu wao, ungwana? So that one is not good. You have a problem, kindly seek help for that ya darasa imeanza. So I'm sharing my screen right now. So I hope you can see my screen. Today we are in topic 5. We are looking at public speaking and presentation. And public speaking, we cannot learn what we call not public relations, but we cannot learn communication skills without touching on public speaking. Now, public speaking, the purpose of public speaking, like just a very good story, is that every public speech has a purpose. We are teaching you communication skills because whether you like it or not, one day you'll be asked to speak to some people. One day you will be told, pray for us. One day you'll be told you'll be the one giving presentation tomorrow. One day you'll be told to represent your boss in a meeting. One day you might be told, come and do what? Talk to this student or take care of this group of people. That's why today we are from the onset, we started looking at what communication skills is. Now we have come to non-verbal communication. We went to verbal communication, and now we are going to written communication. Now, public speaking and presentation, the purpose of public speaking, like every good story, that every public speech has got a purpose and it is often called thesis or the thesis. So the purpose is the thesis. Every public speech has got a purpose. Sometimes you can be called to go and give a speech on sexual transmitted infections, STI. Sometimes you can be called to go to your former secondary school, go and talk to the Form 4s who are sitting for their last exam, encourage them. Sometimes you may be told to talk to a group of children regarding something, or maybe motivating them. That's why today we are looking at public speaking. So the purpose controls the development of a speech. So if the purpose is STI among the youth, then that is what will control the speech. So everything that we are going to say in that particular speech, in that particular public speaking, we are going to talk about STIs or sexually transmitted infections. So a speaker may even repeat or rephrase the purpose to make it clear. Sometimes a speaker may rephrase, put the purpose in his own words, or he may put it in a very simple way so that the people can understand what the speaker is talking about. So, clear purpose, which we call a thesis, it helps the listener understand the information. A clear purpose. When you have clear purpose, it helps the listener understand all the information. But two, it helps the speaker stay on topic. If we are talking about sexually transmitted infection, we will not talk about buying cars. We will not talk about buying properties. We will talk about sexually transmitted infection only. So a thesis statement, a clear purpose, in short, is what makes the speaker stay on the topic. Sometimes, those people who are fond of listening to radio programs, and even debates on TV and on radio, you realize that most of the time, the presenter, person that is in charge of the, what do you call him, the moderator of the debate, you find that he keeps on repeating what the debate is all about. He keeps on repeating and saying, for those who are joining us right now, we are talking about this particular thing, there may be the housing levy or the housing tax. He keeps on repeating and repeating and repeating. Even if you are joining them for the last 5 minutes, the moderator, the speaker, the person in charge will keep on repeating the purpose of that particular debate. Why? So that you are not lost, so that if you have just joined them, you can understand what they are talking about. So a public speech has 4 general purposes. Public speech. So sometimes I know we are 64 of us in this particular class. You might find yourself being given an opportunity to speak to a group of people. It can be in your office, it can be in the village, it can even be in your family, it can even be in your class. You might be told, so and so, let me look for a name here, Lucy Mutuku, can you give us a speech? Tell us the importance of learning or studying diploma in accounting and finance. You may also be told to speak to some individual. Suppose you are working in a bank simply because you have done a diploma in accounting and finance. You are told there is a group of parents there, a group of clients there that wants you to talk about maybe opening an account, or wants you to talk about the benefit of saving. You run away from them. I read a certain book, and this book was saying that a burial, when you go for a burial, you go to bury the dead. It is the last respect that you have for the dead. A speaker was saying, a writer of the book was saying that people fear speaking in front of people. Like, people don't like speaking in front of people. They would rather, they wish that they would be the dead. They wish they were in that coffin and stand and speak in front of people. That's how difficult it is. Somebody will wish, I wish I was the dead person in the coffin, instead of being told to speak to these people. Public speaking is not easy. It is not a piece of cake to some of us. Because some of us will be told, can you go and tell us something? You sweat from nowhere. You start shaking, develop some kind of illness. Start sweating, your mouth runs dry. You start looking like you have just seen a ghost. We are wondering, what is it? Simply because you've been told to stand in front of and give a speech on something. Tell them about something. Some people would rather die, would rather be in the coffin, be the person who is being buried, and stand on than stand in front of people, speak. So a public speech has 4 main goals or main purpose. Number 1 is to inform. So you want your listener, as far as informing is concerned, to understand something. If they already know something about your subject, may help understand it more better. Suppose, for example, you have a special talent, taking pictures of pets. What do? You decide to give a speech that will teach these skills to others. The purpose of your speech then, to inform. Sometimes you can have a speech to just inform people. Inform them maybe on the ways to avoid accidents. Inform them, and maybe, for example, you are an excellent driver. You inform them on the ways of conserving fuel and driving. If you want to drive from here to Nairobi, or from here to Nakuru, if you spend 3,000, you can conserve your fuel by doing this, by operating your car in this particular manner. It's to inform. But 2 is to persuade. Persuade is simply to lure people to buy your product, to lure people to support you in your opinion, your need, or your belief. It is to persuade. Example, during the general elections, we saw some politicians coming to us. They were persuading us. They were telling us what they will do when they get to, or when they get the seat they were vying for. It was an MCA, an MP, a senator, maybe a governor, telling you that if you vote for me, darkness will be a thing of the past. If you vote for me, water will be flowing like in your compound. If you vote for me, problems will never see you. So sometimes to actually give a speech to persuade people. So in the actual sense, let's look at the example that I've given there. That imagine, for example, that your school does not open the gym in the morning before classes start. Assume that a university has got a gym. So, and this gym, you don't open it in the morning before classes start. Therefore, you'd like the gym to be opened an hour before the classes start. So you feel you have several good reasons for changing this policy. So then decide to give a speech to convince your classmates to agree with you. You also want them to help you convince the principal to change the policy. Instead of opening the gym in the morning, why don't you open it in the evening before classes, or before classes start? So you convince some people. Once you convince a group of people, you go and meet the principal. So the purpose of your speech is to persuade people to support your idea. The way what we call the politician did just the other election that has just passed. It convinced you to a point that you saw, I think they are doing something good. Some of them went ahead and bought, they made parties. They said, when you elect us to power, we will be eating what we call rice and meat every day. How are you eating the rice and meat that you are promised by your governor or by your presidential candidate? So the purpose of doing that was to actually persuade you. Other thing, number 3, purpose of what we call a speech is to entertain. You want your listener to enjoy themselves. You want them to relax and forget their problem, especially these economic hard times. Things are very hard. Come across a coin, shilling, no, 10 shilling coin. It's becoming a problem. You want people to forget their problems, financial problems, their stress. So you may even want to see them see the funnier, the lighter side of an issue or event. So suppose you decide to give a speech about the first time you rode a horse. Remember several funny things that happened. Maybe the first time you rode a car, drove a car. The first time you got into a driving school, and you are told this one is a steering, this one is a gear, this one means drive, parking, and this one means what? Neutral. Then you are told, given instruction before you drive a car, you have to make sure that you set your seat, you buckle your belt, and what else? You press the brake, you put those things. And maybe the moment you started riding the car, you hit a post. Suppose you want people to know about that. You're actually telling them or you are entertaining them. You want them to forget their problems and to see the lighter side of that. Then the next point, the reason for public speech is to inspire. So you want your listener to share belief or values such as courage, justice, love, country. For example, you may want to inspire the students who are doing their last exams. Maybe they have lost hope completely. Maybe they see failure ahead of them. So as a student who was there before them, you are called to give a speech to them, to encourage them, to inspire them. So you tell them, even me, I was there. What you are seeing is not something that is what? That is new. I also saw life like that. I saw myself failing. This is what I did. And now I am a doctor. And now I am a who? ABCD. So you are inspiring these people so that they don't give up hope, so that they do what? They feel encouraged to continue with life. Or maybe you're talking to someone who has given up in life. This person is thinking of hanging himself. By the way, before you hang yourself, because many youths are hanging themselves, kindly look for someone to talk to. It may help you a big deal. The youth nowadays, ukiambiwa kitu unanuna kama kaimati, unasema utajiua. Before we notice, ushaka kamba na ushajinyonga. One is not right. Before you kill yourself, talk to at least one last person. Before you put that rope there to hang yourself, before you take that poison, before you take that knife, stab yourself, just talk to one last person. It may change your life completely. To fail your KCSE, you are thinking of killing yourself. You are told not to be coming late to this house. Anytime you come late, you will not live in that house. Think of killing yourself. Even as we did KCSE and some of us failed terribly more than you. We are still living. You find that people kill themselves. Before you kill yourself, kindly look for someone you can talk to. One last person. And that person may change your life forever. So imagine 2 students in your school have done a very brave thing. You're talking about to inspire. So you decide to give a speech about it. So you want other students to be moved by the bravery, the 2 people. The purpose, therefore, is to inspire your listener. Again, speech is used for multiple purposes. This one, I'm going to give an example of political rallies, campaigns that were happening before we engaged ourselves into voting. For example, you can use a speech for various reasons: entertain, inspire, do what? Motivate, so on and so forth. For instance, your main purpose may be to persuade your classmate vote for Anne for student council. Do this, may also have to inform them about Anne. You tell them that Anne is a 4th-year student, is doing a Bachelor's of Commerce, Anne is 23 years old, Anne is this, Anne is that. Or you may want to entertain them to get their attention, like the way our politicians used to do. They go to Tononoka ground in Mombasa. They invite very renowned, what we call singers, celebrities. They entertain you, then they inform you, then they ask you, they persuade you to vote for them. They inform you what is happening in the government, what is happening in the other group. What do you call it? The other party is happening to them, their counterpart. And to do this, you may also have to inform them, or you may want to entertain them to get their attention. You may listen more carefully as you try to persuade them. This speech, however, still has only one main purpose, which is to persuade. So your main purpose was to persuade, but before you persuade, attract their attention. By doing what? By bringing celebrities and singers who are renowned, people who are known. You can even look for Akina Bahati, you can look for Akina Diamond. You see Diamond in a political rally, to say the truth, I think we'll stay there until political rally is over. These politicians may say, now Diamond, we are leaving the stage for you, entertain them. So that is it. So that those are the purposes of what we call a speech. Now, what are types of public? We have types of public speeches. This one depends on the delivery. For one, we have impromptu speech. An impromptu speech is a speech that you need to organize your ideas quickly, to speak spontaneously. In other words, you have to think on your feet. So the audience understands this and does not expect a polished speech. I will give an example. Suppose, let me pick a student. Her name is Zainab. Suppose Zainab has just graduated with a diploma in accounting and finance from Zitech University. And Zainab has planned a graduation party at their place, their home place. So Zainab does what we call invite Mr. David for the party. Of course, Mr. David will go for the party, for the graduation party. Mr. David is there as a who? Just like any other person. Then all of a sudden, as Mr. David is enjoying himself with the nice food and things, and also talking to other people, exchanging words in a bad way, but telling stories, and is happy about it, celebrating in short. And there is this speaker who stands and says, or the MC says, And we have Mr. David here. Can you kindly come and give us maybe a speech on how life has been for Zainab at Zitech University? Now, I was not prepared psychologically. I was going to give a speech, and I've been called upon to give a speech. Hiyo kushtukiwa, that abrupt is usually called, that abrupt being called to give actually what we call a speech is usually that speech that you are going to give is called impromptu. You are not prepared. You had no reason to know that you are going to speak. Now that one is called an impromptu speech. And when you stand up to speak, people will know that this person was not prepared. So they do not expect a polished speak, a polished what we call speech. So most impromptu speech are short and organized simply. For example, suppose your topic is my favorite hobbies. In short, in a short speech, you could think about only 2 or 3 hobbies. You are told, now, can you speak about your hobbies? You can only think about 2 or 3. If you are given some time, go and think about it, then you'd come up with 10 of them. Then we also have another type of speech called extemporaneous speech. Extemporaneous speech. Extemporaneous speech is the opposite of impromptu. Extemporaneous speech, Zainab is graduating, has graduated with a diploma in accounting and finance. She has called Mr. David for a party, and she has told Mr. David, and you will be part of the speakers. We will give you some time to speak. Once you do that, when Mr. David goes, he prepares the speech, writes something short, some points down, so that when he's called, when his time comes that day or that time, then he will stand and give the speech. Now that is called extemporaneous speech. At least you informed me days after or hours after, not minutes, or even minutes after. Like there was a time I went somewhere, we were going for Matanga, and when we got there, the person who was in charge spotted me and came to me and told me, Mr. David, we are waiting for our speaker who is supposed to give the vote of thanks. He's not around. I think he'll be coming later. Now that you have come, I want you to give the votes of thanks. And I asked this young lady, why are you telling me to give a vote of thanks? You should have told me a long time ago. And she told me, no, you are because you have come. I'm sorry for that. You just prepare yourself. At the end of this meeting, Matanga, you're going to give a vote of thanks. I started arranging, planning, point by point, noting the speakers who are speaking, noting the people who are there, putting it down. When the Matanga was over, Matanga was over, I was told, now come and give the votes of thanks. I did it because I was informed in advance, minutes, or maybe we can call it hours before the Matanga ended. Now that one is called extemporaneous. At least I prepared myself. Once you are told and you are seated, you stand up and give us votes of thanks. So that one becomes an important because you are not prepared. Nobody told you you are speaking, but just comfortably seated, and you knew now things are moving on very well. Those are 2 main kinds of speeches. We have the impromptu speech, the extemporaneous speech. Then there is what we call delivery now. You see, we can have extemporaneous delivery. We can also have impromptu delivery. One, each kind of special speech serves one of the 4 main general purposes. There are general purposes of what we call speeches. We have the introduction and responses. Okay, we have various types of occasions where speeches are given. In short, that's what I'm saying. We have various occasions where speeches are given. For example, we have introduction and responses kind of occasions. An introduction is a short speech that introduces the guest speaker. An introduction and responses session, it sets the speaker's qualification. Talk about the topic. For example, you may call me or to give a speech, maybe for example on communication and or media, or maybe public relations. So when you call me, you may want me to talk about PR profession, communication profession. Before you introduce me, that particular time I'm about to give the speech, before you call me to speak or introduce me, start saying, Mr. David, the lecturer at Zitech University. He has done PhD in communication from the Maseno University. He has done what we call Masters in Communication from University, JKUAT University. He has also pursued what we call Communication and Journalism from Moi University. He has also done what we call Public Relations from University of Nairobi, and so on and so forth. He has worked for Zitech University for 10 years as a public relations officer, or as a public relations lecturer, as a communication expert. See, now you are introducing me before I stand in front of people to speak. Why are you introducing me? So that people may know that the person coming to speak about that particular topic is a professional in the field. So any question you're going to ask him, he's going to handle it. For example, if you're inviting a gynecologist to speak a group of women regarding maybe, for example, childbirth, you need to introduce that gynecologist. You need to tell us this is a gynecologist, has got 10 years in experience. He has worked with Aga Khan University Hospital, or is it Aga Khan Hospital University, something like that. He has also worked with Mater Hospital in the labor ward or something like that. So you are trying to tell us this person is qualified to talk to you. Then we also have after dinner speeches. After dinner speeches, for example, organizations usually organize dinner for their employees, especially end year dinners, their employees. And you find that in those dinners, you'll find the CEO is there. You find people like the human resources there, level management, the departmental heads are there, the managers are there, the middle level managers are there, intermediate level managers are there, the support staffs are there, subordinate employees are there. Everybody is there. And in after dinner speeches, you realize that they're usually meant to entertain. Even though serious points are made, humor is often an important part of this speech. So you'll find the CEO laughing with the subordinate staff, CEO mingling with the support staff, chini, something like that. The topmost, the top level managers are mingling with the middle level managers and the support staff down there. And so it becomes very, very interesting. So speeches are given. Find that one, the representative of sports support staff has been given an opportunity to give a speech. You find the CEO has been given a chance to give a speech on behalf of the top level management, and so on and so forth. We also have presentation and acceptance speeches. A presentation speech is made when an award is being given, an honor is given. The speaker usually explains what the award is for. Yes, for example, during graduation, Those people, at Zitec University, we award several people. We award certificates and we award even what we call presents. For example, if you are a good basketball player, or you are a good footballer, or maybe you are maybe a choir master or something of the sort, they may give you a present. They may give you a present, a trophy. And as they are giving you the trophy, they explain that this trophy goes to Mr. David. He has been the team leader in the basketball. He has made Zitec University ABCD, those things. Those are called presentation and acceptance speeches. Then we also have commemorative speeches. Commemorative speeches, these are speeches that are done in funerals. Whenever maybe your loved one passes on, this is what we call people giving speeches. He was a good daddy, he was a good grandpa, he was this, he was that, he was this, he was very understanding. All those are called commemorative speeches. People are giving speeches concerning the dead or memorials. Sometimes we visit, they are called for memorials. Go and remember the people who left before us. Those are called memorials. Even the eulogies, those parts that you find that there is a person speaking on behalf of the family, person speaking on behalf of children, person speaking during the burial. Those ones are what we call commemorative speeches. And we also have graduation speeches. Graduation speeches are usually given by people like you'll find the vice chancellor, the university giving a speech. You'll find the chancellor of the university giving a speech. You'll find deans, dean of schools, even giving speeches. And also invited guests from various companies have come to give a speech and to encourage you, tell you now that you have graduated, this is not the end of education. Now you are going to face the world, ABCD. Those stories that are given during the graduation are called graduation speeches. So when it comes to delivery of this presentation, we have how many types of delivery? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 types of delivery. Number one, we have impromptu delivery, speaking. Impromptu is when you are thinking on your feet. You also have speaking from a manuscript. You have written things, like the way we see the president reading from a tablet. Initially, we saw President Uhuru Kenyatta reading from papers, small yellow papers. He's reading. That one is speaking from a manuscript. Memorizing the speech, there are people who are very good. They are very good. They have got very good brains. He memorized a speech of 20 pages. When they stand and they speak. You think that they are speaking from their mind. Wame memorize speech, labda wamekuwa wakimemorize for the past 3 days or even 2 or 4 weeks. So they memorize the speech, everything. And then there is also what we call extemporaneous speaking. Extemporaneous speaking is when you are reading from notes. Maybe you have some points because you are told you'll be giving a speech at a certain date. So you prepared yourself, wrote some few points of what you're going to present in that particular meeting that you have invited. So what are some of the guidelines for delivery? You have been invited to go and give a speech, Form 4 students who are about to do their KCSE. What are some of the guidelines for delivery? Number one is how you look. Appearance, you're being dressed, you are being told dress well and appropriately, walk with confidence, look interested in giving the speech. Even if the speech looks as boring as I don't know what, you need to look interesting. Because kama utaboeka na wale wanakusikiza nao, giving a speech on, for example, early marriages, the lives of teenagers. Dress well and appropriately, walk with confidence, look interested in giving that particular speech, even if you don't like it. So sometimes the speaker looks at who is giving the speech. The speaker is very boring. This one, there is no way of listening to it. Body movement is another thing. Move purposely free between points. When you move from one point and you are getting to another point, move purposefully. Yeah. If you are always moving, no movement will be meaningful. If you are always moving from one point to another, or maybe physically walking around, you are always moving. And if you make a move, it is important, people will not see the importance of that. There is also what we call eye contact. Make eye contact with the individual in your audiences as you speak. Keep in mind culture of your audiences. And when you make eye contact, it doesn't mean that you stare. People, when you tell them to give a speech, they will stare at one position. Ni macho haitoki hapo. Mtu atakaa kama statue mpaka amalize na speech. Kiwa ameangalia tu mahali pamoja. That one is not eye contact, that is staring. Here we are saying, for example, in American culture, eye contact is very important. If you don't keep eye contact, you are at a risk of being considered dishonest or having something that you are hiding. So in the Somali culture, those who are here and you come from Somali culture, it is wise to avoid eye contact with the opposite sex. Zainab, are you from Somali culture?
Yeah.
So what happens? I should not look at you directly on your eyes. Why?
Repeat again.
I'm not following. When we go to what we call facial expressions, these are very important and must be considered with, must be consistent with your message, facial expression. So if you're talking about a happy mood, facial expression should show happy mood. Don't say happy and then you are showing a very uso imekunjana kunjana, creased face. Gestures are very important, that when we speak, most of our gestures are made up of hand and arm movement. Usually use gestures to express or emphasize ideas or emotions. Postures, the way you stand. It's a matter of how you walk and stand. Posture. You know, sometimes when you're giving a speech and you are walking as though you are carrying a very heavy load, you're walking as though you got old many years, okay? Umebeba miaka kabisa. If you drag your feet or slouch, you could be communicating that you are very lazy. You could be communicating that you are very sick. Unatembea kama umeweka mikono na nyuma na umebend kidogo. You look tired. You look depressed. Also keep in mind that the way you sit in your seat, rise and walk to the podium, and return to your seat for speech. The way you are called. Now we welcome the speaker of the day, Mr. David Minor. I am walking as though I am dragging my feet. I am walking, bending, crossing my arms at the back. Friend, you can actually tell from the audience's perspective, this person is not going to give anything good. This is the most boring person is coming to give us a speech. The way someone speak. Somebody said, if you want to know how someone think, look at the way they walk. Ukitaka kujua vile watu wanafikiria, speed ya kufikiria kwa mtu, angalia vile mtu anatembea hata town. That's how they think. If you see someone walking slowly, dragging their feet, that person thinks slowly. You see someone sharp, walking sharp, very quickly, doing things very quickly, that person thinks very fast. How do you sound? Volume. Set your volume so that you will be heard about the audience. Some people, I don't know what happens to them. We've been called to talk to 300 students in a podium, an auditorium. You are talking as though you are talking to yourself. And you've been given even the microphone. You are holding the microphone as though it is a luggage to you. Kama kwamba ni mzigo sana. Ukishasahau uko na microphone, umeanza kujiongelesha. People cannot hear what you are saying. Volume is very important. Use a microphone if you are speaking to a large auditorium. Use a microphone. Next point, pace. This refers to how fast or quickly you speak. And that is it. Also, you can use what we call visual aids. Visual aids are things like projectors, things like photographs, things like big photographs. Those are called visual aids. So you're going to read on, you will read on verbal support. And when you talk about visual aids, you're talking about objects and models. Like those, we have objects and models. For example, if you visit hospital, they have what we call the mannequin. Mannequin, not mannequin. There's a difference between mannequin and mannequin. Mannequins are the ones that we see them being dressed. People are selling clothes. You see a mannequin. Mannequin zikiwa zimevalishwa manguo. So ni mannequins. Mannequin is what we call models. For example, if you visit a hospital and you see a mannequin of a skeleton, ni skeleton for the purposes of the doctor explaining something to you. Those ones are called mannequin. Or some models of children. Diagrams, lists and tables, charts and graphs, pictograms, and media. So we also have what we call different kinds of media for presenting visual aids. Visual aids, they are used in a speech. And we have PowerPoint, flip charts, transparencies, slides, handouts, video tapes, chalk, and board erasers. So these are rules for using visual aids. Be sure that you have a reason for using a visual aid. Siambia watu waende walete kinaitwa namna gani. Watu waende walete PowerPoint na unajua hautatumia. Match the sophistication of your visual aid to the audience. If you are explaining about how an engine works, definitely you cannot just explain using words. You require images, you require pictures, even videos to show to the viewers. Design the layout, the design simple, make sure it is large enough such that the person seated at the back will be able to see it. Use only horizontal. What I'm using to present to you, this one is a vertical printing. Where I am presenting your notes is vertical printing. Horizontal is the opposite. Horizontal is what we call landscape. Landscape printing. For all items, clear identification. If you are using a pictogram, if you are using a picture, you need to label everything so that people understand what you're talking about. Remove the visual after discussing it. So if we were discussing about the engine, stop talking about now the gearbox. The picture of the engine is on the screen. Once you have discussed about the engine and how it works, move now to the gearbox. Show us now the image of the gearbox. Wacha kuweka image imekaa hapo. We're now talking about the gearbox. you are almost finishing, and you realize it is the engine that has been displayed. That one you'll be mislead people. What are some of the functions of visual aids? To show how things look. You want maybe to distinguish between an engine and a gearbox. To show how things work. You want to show how the engine works, how the gearbox works. Also to emphasize on the important point, hold the listener's attention. People like things, to see things. People like seeing things. Assuming this class that we are doing it without the presentation, wangekuwa walishatoka kitambo. Now because you can see what I am talking about, that's why people's attention are there. Hold the listener's attention. It helps the audience remember what you have said. So visual aids, they help people to remember what you have said. And when you tell them, you remember the difference between an engine and what we call a gearbox. They can tell you because they can remember from what you projected on the PowerPoint or the image or whatever a visual aid you are using. So having said that, I think I have come to the end of today's lesson, unless there is a question. Any question? If there is no question, I think I'll stop at that point. Your cut will start at what time? Your cut starts at 12, at 1. You have some minutes to do the preparation. Your cut will be starting at 1 p.m. through saa 8. So kati yako itaanza saa ngapi? Nimesema